We thought we had seen it all, from mass murders, psychopaths, hooligans, and serial killers to even presidents. Cops have been on a roll arresting people of all types, but have seen cases where they arrest FBI agents. Were they rightly arrested? And do wrongful arrests of law enforcement officials call for the arrest with heavier punishments? Join us as we check a look at bizarre cases where dumb decisions from cops take them to rather odd position. So why don't we just kick things off with a crossover story of an FBI agent who has been wrongfully jailed? In our first case, the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department detained a former FBI agent for no apparent reason. It was a bizarre and ridiculous incident. As it turned out, Roger Golubski, a former detective, had been falsely accused of assaulting 2 black women between 1998 and 2002. There have been 2 accusations, to be exact. The real question is, however, how did the Kansas City police force allow him to get away with it for so long? Roger Golubski's unsolved case was discovered by the FBI while it was looking into the Kansas City Police Department's behavior. The former detective had a history of sexually assaulting women over the course of his 35-year career as a police officer and had been trading drugs for information. Lamonte McIntyre, a young black man, was accused of committing a double homicide by Golubski during his time as a police officer. McIntyre was ultimately freed after serving 24 years in prison without proper cause as a result. Golubski was taken into custody by the FBI on suspicion of 6 counts of sexually assaulting 2 black women. He has since entered a not guilty plea. Despite the jury rejecting his lawyer's request for release on medical grounds, he was kept in custody for routine medical examination. Black woman Rhonda Tribute, whose corpse was discovered in 1998, was one of Golubski's informants. Her case remains unsolved despite the fact that the investigation was started but never finished. She died, and Golubski's involvement is now being called into question by many people. That is exactly what we are saying. Many civil rights advocates across the nation have praised the arrest of Golubski, but it also raises serious questions about police behavior and the abuse of their authority. According to Tricia Bullnell, the director of the Midwest Innocence Project, a full investigation into the abuses in Wyandotte County and systematic reforms are needed to ensure that no other police officers and public officials can continue to abuse their power. As more of Golubski's crimes were discovered, it became clear that the Kansas City Police Department needed significant restructuring. Several inquiries remain unanswered as a result of the FBI's inquiry into the department. Roger Golubski's arrest was long overdue, but it's worth noting that it was the FBI, not the Kansas City Police, who brought him to justice. Next up, with the arrest of 2 Drug Enforcement Administration officers by the FBI in Nassau County, Florida, the situation has unexpectedly turned around. The DEA, a law enforcement organization renowned for its aggressive efforts to combat the drug trade, has charged 2 officers with drug-related offenses. But the system's level of dysfunction clearly remains unclear. While selling drugs, including cocaine, that had been seized to willing customers, Sergeant James Hickox was captured with his hand in a cookie jar. His greed knew no bounds as he also combined drugs with other substances to make up the weight difference and kept parts for himself. In his bedroom closet, the FBI discovered 3 shoeboxes, each containing $100,000 in cash. They also discovered another $200,000 hidden in his garage. Hickox claimed that he borrowed the funds for his claim by partaking in his gambling habit when asked where the money came from. Hickox's actions have hurt the DEA's reputation and are obviously a breach of his obligations as a law enforcement officer. Joshua Erie, a highway inspector, had been covered in the same drugs that had to be seized, even going so far as to legally approve the prescription of 43 oxycodone pills. He purchased drugs from drug dealers. As if that weren't enough, while under the influence of drugs, he acquired a gun. Due to the fact that he was trusted with the law rather than the law itself, Erie's actions were not only wrong, but also dangerous. The surprise arrest of these officers leaves the public wondering just how pervasive corruption is within law enforcement organizations. Sheriff Bill Leeper expressed his dissatisfaction by saying, "I think we need to make sure law enforcement personnel who violate the law are held accountable. When I learned of the accusations, I was shocked, let down, repulsed, and beyond angry. These incidents where the police ran into the FBI were some of the most shocking ones. We now look at our last and final case. A significant mishap that made headlines involved the case of mistaken identity between a Florida deputy and an FBI agent. When he received a call from a man claiming to be an FBI agent and asking to meet him in a nearby parking lot, Officer Gordon found himself in a precarious situation. This is a classic illustration of what can go wrong if a person doesn't confirm the identity of the person they're meeting, especially when speaking to a police officer. I do, but I don't understand what the problem is with your meeting me at the office. I'll talk to the U.S. Attorney's Office about it. Cut off the recording device now." "Okay, well, I will when I leave the area, sir." "Well, I will when I leave the area, sir." Asked the officer to turn off his recording device. Suspicions should have been aroused. However, Officer Gordon continued to record the conversation, a classic move. This was a wise decision as well, because it provided proof of what had happened, which, as you can probably guess, didn't turn out too well for Officer Gordon. Despite Agent Hatton's efforts to persuade Gordon that he was an FBI agent, the officer was skeptical and demanded to know how the agent obtained his phone number. Given the predicament the officer was in, it is not shocking that he requested assistance and handcuffed Agent Hatton. However, things started to spiral out of control. It got worse when Hatton shut the car door, especially considering how hot it was in Florida. It's fortunate that Agent Hatton's condition didn't worsen because Gordon made a bad choice in doing this. Concerns were raised by Officer Gordon regarding Agent Hatton's investigation into the actions of law enforcement agencies in North Florida. Agent Hatton's claims that he was an FBI agent may not have been taken seriously by the officer because he was aware of the widespread corruption within the police department and worried about being connected to it. Let's say his ego overcame him. The hour-long incident took place on December 20 in a parking lot off U.S. Highway 98 in the coastal fishing community, 45 miles southwest of Tallahassee. Due to the heat, Agent Hatton, who was shielded from the elements by a bulletproof vest and had limited access to air conditioning, started to experience health problems like nausea and suffocation. He, however, avoided a fatal situation by being taken to a nearby hospital, where he received treatment for dehydration and heat exhaustion before being released. What do you think of our list? Do you think there are more corrupt officials out there? Sound off in the comments below. And while you are at it, make sure to hit subscribe and leave a like for more such content. Thanks for watching.
On November 14th, 2022, an incident occurred at an SKLD Wyoming nursing home involving a staff member named Sue and a visitor named Michelle. Sue, the administrator of the facility, called the police on Michelle, accusing her of trespassing and taking pictures of her mother without permission. Despite Michelle's claims that she had not committed any crime and that the nursing home was a public facility, the police quickly convicted her of trespassing and detained her.
She's not on the trespass list, so officially trespasser.
There you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Sue. I'm the administrator. So we have a family member who had an allegation against her, and so we've reached out to her and let her know that if she wants to visit, we need to meet with the team here and figure out a way we can keep the mom from being. Her guardian does not even want her to visit, but we talked her into letting her. If we do supervised or promise that she won't take pictures of her mom and put them all over Facebook and TikTok and stuff because the guardian doesn't want that happening. She came in, refused to talk to me, slammed the door in my face, wouldn't let me in the room. So I don't know.
Do you want to trespass?
Yeah, at this point, yes.
Way to get her out of here.
Until she will come in and meet with us and figure out what we can do.
Yeah, you can always take the no trespass order away, but let's get her trespass.
Because I don't want to not let her see her mother, but she needs to do it so we can keep the mom safe.
During the encounter, Michelle argued that the nursing home, being publicly funded, should not be able to trespass on her without reasonable cause. She even mentioned contacting the facility's vice president, who allegedly stated that she had not committed any crime. Michelle believed that her actions were protected by her First Amendment rights, allowing her to visit the facility and take pictures freely. However, the police insisted that trespassing occurred because the nursing home, as private property, had the authority to restrict entry as they deemed necessary. They maintained that Michelle's refusal to cooperate and meet with the facility's team justified her trespass conviction.
Pretty much like anywhere, just like if you walk into a speedway, they can say, hey, I don't want this person here anymore. Doesn't matter what the reason for. If they tell me that, and they want you, they say, hey, I want them trespass.
So when I come back tomorrow, I go to jail?
Yeah, you can't come back until you
I
figure it
will
out.
be coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And I already let the vice president and president, I spoke to them today. They said, we haven't heard anything. Well, then why are they doing this? You might want to call her.
Call them and tell them to talk to Sue then.
Correct.
That's the best you can do right now.
Yep, this is just I'm sorry, this is a fucking joke.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but so don't come back on the property until you clear it up with the
I'm coming back tomorrow. I'll be here every day, and I don't care if I go to jail. I've already been told by lawyers, by the advocates that help Britney Spears. National News, the News 8, everybody's on this. So they've already told me, if you have to push the envelope, because that's just going to seal the lawsuit. Huh?
You're not going to be able to do that.
No, but it'll seal the deal when I'm getting arrested for no crime.
Trespassing ought to be the crime.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They can't say I'm trespassing when I've committed no crime.
That is the crime. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Michelle expressed her frustration and stated her intention was to return to the facility, disregarding the trespass warning. She believed that her case had gained significant attention, citing advice from lawyers and advocates who had helped Britney Spears. She asserted that pushing the envelope and standing up for her rights would strengthen her potential lawsuit against the nursing home. Furthermore, Michelle claimed that one of the police officers violated her Fourth Amendment rights during her detainment. She alleged that he forcefully tried to seize her phone while she was attempting to inform her children of the situation. Despite not having committed any crime that warranted handcuffing, she was restrained by the officer.
I'm not giving it to you.
Okay, well then you're going to be detained until we figure that out then.
Huh?
Then you're detained until we figure that out.
Why are you detaining me?
Because right now you have to be trespassed.
Okay, well, can I make one phone call?
Nope, you have to give me your driver's license.
I don't
just tell me your name.
Give you already know my name.
Okay, can you write down her name?
Oh my God!
Exactly how it's spelled.
So
until we can find you and we can figure out who you are.
Hold on,
Exactly.
I'm gonna call and let them know. Go pick up my kids that I'm being arrested.
You're not being arrested right now.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
being detained.
So detained and arrested are two different things. Being
Hold
arrested
on.
means that you've been charged with something. Being detained is temporary.
Hold on, I'm being detained
Okay. Do you want to?
because I won't give them my license.
All right. So
I've done nothing wrong.
What's your date of birth?
I've committed no crime.
What's your date of birth?
I committed no crime.
Okay, now you're being detained then. And then we'll get a fingerprint scanner and then we'll figure it out. Let go of the phone.
Randy, do you want to talk to the lawyer?
I'm not doing anything
wrong. Right now,
We're not playing games with you.
Only
If
if
they-
I've committed a crime
Not
and
true.
reasonable articulable suspicion, and I've done nothing of the
So
sort.
right now you've been trespassed, okay?
Uh-huh.
So we need to identify you so we
Uh-huh.
can successfully trespass you by doing our lawful job.
Okay.
Michelle's perspective on the incident raises concerns about the staff's handling of her visitation rights and the violation of her constitutional rights by the police officers. She intends to take legal action, asserting that her rights were infringed upon throughout the incident. In yet another troubling incident that occurred on October 31st, 2022, a visually impaired man named Jim Hodges was illegally arrested and detained by two Columbia County cops in Florida. The officers, Deputy Jamie Godey and Sergeant Randy Harrison, claimed that the walking stick Hodges had in his back pocket was a firearm, leading to his arrest without lawful authority. The encounter was captured on video by Hodges himself. When the officers approached him and questioned the object in his back pocket, Hodges explained that it was a walking stick. However, the officers insisted on obtaining his identification and detained him, citing their suspicion he was carrying a weapon.
Hey. What's this in your back pocket? I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational aid. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Yeah, I am actually. What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here.
I was
You
investigating.
have reasonable.
Do you want me to
articulated
put you in
suspicion.
handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
Hodges questioned the officer's authority and refused to provide his identification, stating he had not committed a crime. He asserted that his Fourth Amendment rights protected him from unreasonable searches and seizures without probable cause or a warrant. Despite Hodges' explanations, the officers continued to detain him and insisted on checking his identification.
Well, you're being one to me.
No, sir, I'm
Have a
doing my
good day.
job.
Am I detained?
Yeah, you are. What's your name and date of birth?
It does not matter.
Yes, sir, it does.
Do you have a crime?
Would you like me
Call
to
your
put you in?
supervisor,
He's right
please.
here.
All right.
Don't you?
What's the stop for? for a walking stick.
So-
And it could look like a weapon. She asked you to really present it, okay? Now she's asking me for ID. Okay. I don't need the ID unless there's reasonable articulated suspicion that I have committed a crime and committing a crime or about to do a crime. Sir, and her suspicion was that you were armed, okay? And she's asking you for your ID. Well, now she has verified that I am not armed. Okay. So there is no problem. You have your ID or not? I do have my ID, but you don't need it. Okay. Okay. Sir, you do that.
7 Whiskey Mike 15. I don't know where his wallet is.
Where's your wallet at, sir? I don't have a wallet on me.
Okay, where's your ID?
Where's your ID at? Pocket. Which pocket? You're not allowed to search me.
It's in this pocket.
There you go.
Thank you.
The incident constitutes a clear violation of Hodges' Fourth Amendment rights, which protect against unreasonable searches, seizures, and false imprisonment. Florida statutes define false imprisonment as forcibly confining, abducting, imprisoning, or restraining another person without lawful authority and against their will. In this case, the officers wrongly arrested and detained Hodges, despite identifying the object in his back pocket as a walking stick.
It's gonna be. I want your name and your badge number. I'll put you in jail for resisting.
Okay. Alright, let's go.
I want your name and badge number too, sir.
Have a seat.
You wanna pick my property up,
I
please?
sure will, after you have a seat.
You wanna pull this out of my back pocket?
Sure. Here, I'll grab your jacket for you, too.
After an investigation by the sheriff's office, it was determined that Deputy Godey and Sergeant Harrison had violated several department policies. As a result, Sergeant Harrison was immediately demoted and suspended without pay for 7 days, while Deputy Godey received a 2-day suspension. Both officers were also required to undergo remedial training on civil rights. Hodges has retained an attorney and plans to file a lawsuit against the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. He's also requesting a federal investigation into the incident. The case highlights the importance of protecting individuals' constitutional rights and holding law enforcement accountable for any violations. In this next video, in May of 2020, an incident unfolded in Columbia County, Georgia, where a man was filming a video outside a store. However, the owners of the store called the police on him, prompting officers from the Columbia County Sheriff's Office to respond. The officer in charge approached the man and requested his identification, citing a call about his videotaping activity.
Yeah, we got a call about your videotape
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the property. Do you have it?
No, I'm not on their property. I never step on nobody's
Oh,
property.
okay.
No, sir.
No, I've just got the call.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
Do you have a driver or an ID?
Well, I don't show my ID. I don't do nothing wrong. You understand? I'm filming in public, giving people free advertisement, and they approach me. And if you could just tell them that I'm not doing anything wrong, and
But you weren't on the property.
no, sir, I'm very careful not to do that. I'll pull GIS surveys, and been doing this a long
What are
time.
you videoing for, if you don't mind me asking?
First Amendment, protected activity. Just
Just doing like
yeah, free advertisement.
Do you live around here? Are you from here? I'm
No, I'm not from around here. Most people know me. I do this. I go around and, show people right from wrong from right. And, when they say they call the police, I don't leave. Yeah.
Just checking on it.
Yeah.
But you were never on the property?
No, I'm very close. Never ever to do that. Matter of fact, far as I was right there at the edge of the curtilage, the GIS survey starts.
The man asserted that he had not committed any wrongdoing and explained that he was filming in a public area to provide free advertisement. He emphasized that he was careful not to trespass or infringe upon anyone's rights. Refusing to show his identification, he relied on his understanding of Georgia law, which states that unless someone has broken the law, they are not required to identify themselves. The officer alleged that the man had trespassed on the store's property despite video evidence proving otherwise. However, the officer persisted in requesting identification to potentially charge the man with trespassing. The man maintained his innocence and questioned the basis for his detention as he had not committed any crime.
Unless I've broken the law, you don't have to ID in the state of Georgia. Am I being detained?
Well, for the moment, yes.
For what crime?
Till we find out what's going on.
To what crime am I being committed?
We were called because you were on their property.
Right, and he determined I wasn't.
Okay. Hang tight just a minute, we'll get you out.
Am I being detained for an unlawful reason? Yes or no?
Right now, you're being detained because you were on their property, and we're trying to find out what's going on.
Okay, and I can prove that I wasn't on their property, and they can't prove that I was. Or, there again, issue me a trespass, I'll be on my way, and then we'll go to court, but...
A staff sergeant arrived at the scene, and the man recounted the entire incident, including his rights and the lack of any illegal activity. As the man spoke, the 2 deputies involved in the arrest stood by, seemingly embarrassed.
How are you? What was your name and badge number, sir?
Sure, it's Staff Sergeant Johnson, 93159.
Hey, Johnson. I was explaining to them, I'm out here exercising my rights, First Amendment right. Private property starts about 1.2 foot on the other side of that telephone pole per government document survey. Well, okay. Anyway, I did my homework. I'm down here giving some people free advertisement. They called the police to me. This deputy here legally detained me for 18 minutes and 32 seconds for no suspicion of nothing. He told me that I had to show him my identification to be trespassed. I explained to him I was on the curtilage of that road. Right there, their property starts at the front tire of that VW. Okay. And I'm trying to exercise my rights. Both of them gentlemen stood in a auditorium or courthouse with their hand on a Bible, and they swore an oath to protect my civil rights.
Yes, sir.
He's wanting my Fourth Amendment violated. He's wanting my First Amendment violated. And they called the police to me and lied. I got 28 minutes of video that shows me doing exactly what I'm doing right now on public property, exercising my right as an American.
So and any time did you go on their property?
No, sir. I look. He knows exactly who I am.
Which one?
To the left.
Okay.
And I told him I'm gonna file a formal complaint on him and him. And y'all have never, ever had a problem with Columbia County.
Right.
Ever. And once you realize who I am and what I'm doing and it really makes y'all look bad, man. And I'm legally detained for no crime. That's a...
As long as you haven't been on their property, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Because you're outside their property, and you're legally doing what you need
absolutely.
To do.
Can you explain that to them so they don't violate anybody else's rights?
And they don't want you on their property.
Absolutely. And I don't go on their property. That's why
they were just saying a criminal trespass warning. So you've been warned.
I've been warned the first time that don't get an ID. The second time you do. See, he didn't know that. He didn't know that.
I'm good to go with you if you're...
I'm good to go. Am I still detained? Thank you. Well, and thank you. I'll wait till y'all leave and then I'll leave.
The staff sergeant acknowledged the man's explanation and confirmed that he had not been on the store's property. The man expressed his intention to file a formal complaint against the deputy who detained him, citing violations of his Fourth Amendment rights and First Amendment rights. Eventually, the deputies conceded that there was no illegality in the man's filming activity and allowed him to leave without further detainment. This incident serves as a reminder of the importance of understanding and upholding individuals' constitutional rights, even during encounters with law enforcement.